in Irving, Texas, just outside of Dallas. Home of the Dallas Cowboys, who tonight in preseason play will take on the Los Angeles Raiders. A crowd of some 55,000 expected to be on hand on a warm Texas evening. The temperature about 85 degrees. Showers are expected. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford, along with Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf. We're happy you're with us on a night that we check out the Raiders and the Cowboys at the midway point of the preseason. Of course, the Cowboys, a little over 2 years ago, changed ownership. They changed coaches. They changed management. New owner, Jerry Jones, coming in, bringing in as head coach his longtime friend. Only blemish on an outstanding season was a 51-3 loss to Buffalo in the AFC Championship game. And Al Michaels, the Raiders have some problems. They're getting old in some key spots, and they are not going to have, in my estimation, one of the most electrifying football players in the game today, Bo Jackson. In all probability, he won't be here.
It is a veteran team. In fact, Frank, they were the oldest team in the league last year. If Jackson does play this year, it will simply be a bonus. They're not expecting him to, but they do have a lot of depth in the backfield. They still have Marcus Allen. They went out and they signed Roger Craig in Plan B from San Francisco, the man who has caught more passes than any running back in the history of the league. Another guy on the bench is Greg Bell, who has 3,000-yard seasons in his career. They have a great-looking rookie in Nick Bell out of Iowa. But one of the keys, I think, offensively will be another great year from Jay Schrader, who came into his own in 1990. And he has the great wideouts in Willie Gault, Mervin Fernandez, and others. Their coach, Art Shell, was Coach of the Year, according to many last year in the media. And Dan, if Art didn't win it in some polls, it was Jimmy Johnson normally winning it in others. And it didn't take Jimmy Johnson long to go from bum to genius. John, at Texas Stadium in Irving, they are not sold out tonight, thus the game is blacked out here, but they have sold 47,000 season seats, and they expect a crowd of about 55,000. Jimmy Johnson, who came from the University of Miami. Before that, he'd had great success at Oklahoma State in his third season, and as Dan mentioned, just about an entirely new cast of characters.
Go in somebody's backyard. You're going to fight him. You got to knock him out the first goddamn punch.
Well, Art Shell giving them the kind of lecture you would normally reserve for the regular season.
I thought this was preseason. Art's ready to go.
We would equate that to his imploring his team to get off to a fast start.
I would say a knockout punch early on. Shell took over in 1989. Mike Shanahan had been the Raider coach in 88 and then early 89. And they elevated Shell, who had been an assistant. Art for 15 years, a great offensive tackle with the Raiders. Great enough to make it into the Hall of Fame. So for the Dallas Cowboys, Ken Willis, who did a nice job in his rookie year last year as their place kicker out of the University of Kentucky. He will put it in the air. It is overcast. Temperature is in the low 80s. One problem Willis did have is illustrated there. The only regular kicker in the league without a touchback last year. So while he was accurate with his field goal kicks, he did not kick very deep. And this time he'll put it in the air to Jamie Holland and Ron Brown, two speedsters. Holland on the right, Brown on the left. The field is spotted with moisture because it rained last night and early this morning, and here we go. Brown at the 5-yard line brings it back to the 21. 16-yard run back, and the Raiders taking over at their own 21-yard line. Jay Schrader will start the game tonight, and he will play a quarter and a half, and there are his numbers from last season. And when you have a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, you've had a good year. Marcus Allen and Steve Smith start with him as the running backs, then Gault and Fernandez outside, and Ethan Horton is the tight end. Graves, Harold, Turk, Montoya, and Wright are the linemen. They're missing Mosbar, who is still out of camp, their center, and Wisniewski, who's done a terrific job at guard and went to the Pro Bowl last year. So two key people are absent up front. On first down, this is Steve Smith, the fullback, picking up about 2 to the 23-yard line. Now the Dallas defense, not a lot of big names, but they got the job effectively done last year. Jones, Casillas comes over from Atlanta, Noonan and Tolbert, with Russell Maryland coming off the bench. Solomon. Now Norton was an outside backer. They move him to the middle. Vincent Smith, the other outside backer. Holt is excellent. Hendricks on the other corner. Horton and Washington are the safeties. 2nd and 8. LA from the 23-yard line. Smith and Allen behind Schrader, and here is Marcus Allen up to the 26-yard line. Marcus in his early 30s and entering his 10th season in the league. Noonan and Solomon make the tackle. Marcus is still number 1. There's no doubt about that, but who will be behind him is an interesting little question right now, because as we said at the top, you've got Roger Craig, and they figure to keep him. They want to keep Nick Bell, a rookie, but he's hurt. He has a hamstring pull. We won't see him tonight. The guy on the bubble could be Greg Bell. 3rd and 5. 3 receivers in this set, including Tim Brown, who's in the slot to the right. Schrader with a lot of protection, and his first pass is incomplete. Willie Gault couldn't hang on. He was covered by Robert Williams. And so the Raiders, of course,
one of your great touch passes underneath, but he can throw it long, and he will be doing quite a bit of that this evening, I'm sure.
Jeff Gossett to punt, and Kelvin Martin sets up at his own 30 to accept it for Dallas. Cowboys set up a return. Gossett with a good deep and angled kick at the 27-yard line. Very effective kick because it pinned Martin along the sideline and he had no room to roam. Jamie Holland gets credit for the tackle, and here comes Troy, 125-pounder at right tackle. You can't miss him. From the 32-yard line, first down Dallas, and Aikman off the play fake, goes right to the air, has a lot of time, and then throws incomplete off the hands of Emmitt Smith. They want to get the ball to Smith more this year through the air. Defensively now for the Raiders, they operate from a 4-3. The veteran Howie Long, the last of the Oakland Raiders. Golick, Charles, and Townsend up front. Scott Davis is still not in camp. Winston Moss will take over for Jerry Robinson at left outside backer. Ellison in the middle and Benson. And then the secondary is McDaniel and Washington at the corners. And there he is, Ronnie Lott with his old number 42, and Eddie Anderson the safeties. 2nd and 10 from the 32-yard line. And here's Emmitt Smith cutting it back. First down out to the 49-yard line. What he did so much to electrify the Dallas fans last year.
Well, he did it for over 900 yards.
Done effectively his entire career, and I'm surprised so early in the ball game here the Raiders over pursued and gave him that backside. He'll take it every time if he can.
Well, as Aikman comes to the line, he has to call a timeout. So after a promising beginning and a 17-yard pickup by Smith, Aikman has to call timeout with 12:20 to go in the opening quarter, and no score in 20 seasons, and there are the composite standings. The Raiders were the best team in football over that period, and Dallas was next, followed by the Rams, Miami, and Washington. But since '86, a whole other story. Both teams really had problems, in particular Dallas, as Ronnie Lott sets up defensively. The Raiders did not make the playoffs from '85 through '90, and the Cowboys are trying to get back into the playoffs for the first time since '85. After the timeout on first down, Aikman to the air, and he throws to the Raider 45-yard line with a tight end. Novacek makes the catch, and he's tackled by a former 49er, Ricky Ellison.
Novacek not a pure tight end in the sense that he isn't the big blocking man you would like in there, but he's a good receiver, and last year was the leading receiver for the Cowboys. He works well off the line of scrimmage. There you saw him casing the linebackers out, finding a little opening spot. Aikman right there with the ball.
Remarkably, a guy not protected by the Phoenix Cardinals and came to Dallas on plan B. Phoenix not a team that has talent to spare. Novacek could play for them.
2nd down and 4. It's incredible they didn't protect him as Smith takes it for a gain of about 2. Townsend makes the stop. Greg Townsend, a guy who doesn't get a lot of publicity. He doesn't get anywhere near the publicity that somebody like a Reggie White would get, or some of the other great linemen, but here's a guy year after year who keeps doing the job. Led the team in sacks last season.
Yeah, 12.5 last season. He's one of those instinctive pass rushers. He knows when a lineman is back on his heels, and he'll go for that bull rush to try to go right over the top. He'll sense when he's leaning forward, when he can get him off balance, and make the quick move around to the outside. Some guys just seem to feel it more than others.
And he's kind of coming home in a way. He went to school at TCU in Fort Worth. 3rd down and 1, and here is Smith cutting to the outside off a block from Johnston. Picks up the 1st down. Ricky Ellison trips him up at the 40, but Dallas moves the chains.
Emmitt Smith, young man.
And he's a preseason workhorse. He carried 18 times in a half against Kansas City last weekend. And here he goes again. So here's a guy who missed training camp last year because he held out, and Jimmy Johnson wants to get him rolling this year.
Boy, Benson saved a big one there. A big opening in the line. Smith about popped it, and Benson made the save. Somewhere early in the game, I think we're going to also, particularly against the Raiders, who play a lot of man-for-man with their cornerbacks, Lionel Washington and Terry McDaniel, I think we're going to get a look at maybe one of the fastest guys in this game that's come in it for a long time, Alexander Wright. They love him here in Dallas. He runs a 4.1 40, which is almost unbelievable. He wears number 81. Second-year man out of Auburn. There he is, top of your screen.
2nd down and 8. And Aikman under some pressure finds Irvin. Irvin breaks a tackle. He's inside the 10 to the 6-yard line. He broke the tackle of Anderson, and then he was taken down by Washington.
Cowboys with a fine drive. Smith on the ground, hitting their tight end. Now they hit Irving, their number 1 draft pick from a couple of years ago. Aikman's grown up a lot, and as well he should have. He was hammered for some 39 sacks a year ago. And Irvin takes it all the way down inside the 10.
Eddie Anderson gets hurt on this play, and that is Anderson, who will be slow in arising as you watch it again. 33 shaken up, but coming off now with just a minimal amount of assistance.
Irvin slipping a tackle by McDaniel there. Good drive. Started all the way back at the 31-yard line for the Cowboys.
That was a good look there at Terry McDaniel, number 36, the defensive back, just trying to get that jam on the line of scrimmage on Michael Irvin, and missed it. Irvin able to makes that sellout move to try to jam that receiver on the line. That's the risk you run. If you miss him, he's off into the secondary.
In the regular season last year, the Raiders really stiffened in these situations. On 1st and goal, they gave up a touchdown only 35% of the time. The league average 69%, meaning 7 out of 10 times the opposition gets in.
There is no way, Al, to overestimate that graphic we just saw. I mean, that is sensational defense when you're talking about basically a third of the time a team scoring the touchdown from 1st and goal. That's a remarkable defensive statistic.
There it is again. Raiders twice as good as the rest of the league.
And they're pretty good all the way around, too. They were 4th overall in giving up yards last year defensively. So it's a fine defensive team, and they went as far as they did, that 12-4 record, primarily because of them.
Dave Adolph, their defensive coordinator, is the man who is looking on now, 2nd and goal, as his defense tries to stiffen again against an Aikman dropback. Good time for Troy, but nobody is there. Jay Novacek was the closest Cowboy, and he was surrounded by a trio of Raiders. It'll be 3rd and goal.
Just good coverage by the Raiders, because Aikman had all the time you would ever want down that close.
Well, Novacek was trying to work against Ronnie Lott, and boy, did Ronnie hold him up. Novacek went to release, and bang, he hit the wall and didn't get beyond it. Surprise, surprise.
Ronnie Lott, again, the teams can protect 37 players at the end of the season. The 49ers elected not to protect Lott nor Craig. That doesn't mean they couldn't have signed with San Francisco again, but they opted, each of them, to come to Los Angeles, to go south. It's 3rd down and goal. Aikman with time again drops it off to Johnston in the flat, but he goes nowhere as McDaniel comes up to make the tackle, and Ronnie Lott is in the neighborhood as well, and there's a flag down at the line of scrimmage.
But again, just good coverage on the part of the Raiders. Aikman did not want to go to Johnston. He just had to. There was nothing happening upfield.
Jerry Markbright is the referee. .7:58 remaining in the first quarter at Texas Stadium. No score. Against the Cowboys, with Markbright's mic now open.
Illegal formation foul. 6 men on the line for the offense. We had an ineligible man uncovered on the left side of the line. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
So 4th down at the 8-yard line, which means we will see about a 26-yard field goal attempt. And again, the Raiders, as we illustrated with that graphic, stiffen down deep. Ken Willis, who is not being contested in training camp, he has the job as the place kicker, and Mike Saxon has the job as the punter. Spotted at the 16-yard line, and the 26-yard Willis effort is good. So the Cowboys start at their own 31, bogged down, but get 3 and take the lead with 7:45 to go in the opening quarter. Early on against Washington, week 2 in fact, after we open with the Giants and the 49ers on Labor Day night. 3-0, the Cowboys on top in the first quarter, 7:45 left. Willis to kick off, Ron Brown and Jamie Holland back for LA. Brown from his 2-yard line. Whoa. And the one-time Olympic sprinter is taken down on a great open field tackle by Kenneth Gant. That's the type of tackle that wins you a job when you're seeking that 45th spot on the roster. So the reserve cornerback says hello to Ron Brown. We'll be back. Roger Craig, 8 spectacular seasons with the San Francisco 49ers. He was there for 3 of their 4 Super Bowl wins from the University of Nebraska. His rushing figures right there. We mentioned at the top, he's caught more passes than any running back in the history of the National Football League in his 9th year in the league and his first in silver and black.
Along with Marcus Allen, the Raiders now have 2 backs that collectively have accumulated almost 900 receptions. Marcus Allen with 388 and Roger Craig over 500.
And yet oddly, the Raiders throw less to their running backs than any team in the league, at least in recent seasons. From the 18-yard line, here is Marcus Allen, who takes it out to the 21, or he's gang tackled to pick up 3. It'll be 2nd and 7. Ken Norton in on the charge. Marcus, 9 years in the league. He came to the Raiders when they came to Los Angeles. So I mentioned before, only Howie Long played with the Oakland Raiders.
Marcus, one of only a couple of Raiders that was a teammate of head coach Art Shell.
Second and 7 from the 21. Schrader. And paying the price is Fernandez. Making the tackle is Isaac Hope, the Pro Bowl cornerback. A team that a guy that teams shy away from. They normally go the other way.
Well, an asset you always look for in a corner. How quick can you close to the ball? Look at Isaac Holt. He reads the pattern, and that is tremendous 3-yard acceleration, the way he just smothers Fernandez.
You see, too, Dan, he didn't even look at the quarterback. He waited till Fernandez made the stop, and boom, he knew the ball was coming, and he was there.
That some people think about get going. He got going.
3rd and a short 2 from the 26. And Allen gets the first down. And Marcus, a vintage little move as he gets to the 44, and a flag is dropped at the line of scrimmage, and it's going to come back because the Raiders are guilty of holding.
Yeah, it's holding right at the point of attack. They go strong side right into the tight end side. We'll have to see which one of them gets nailed over there. Rory Graves, the left tackle, appears to be
a prospect.
A prospect.
Offside, number 60, defense. Holding, number 60, offense. Penalties offset, 3rd down.
Well, Tony Hill was offsides for Dallas, and Rory Graves was holding. Let's take a look at it here. We'll watch it from our end zone. Here's Graves right here. Let's go ahead and take a look. Now the play is going to come right behind him. Marcus Allen working right behind him. He's going up against Tony Tolbert, and he's got him wrapped up pretty good. And what you don't see there at the end, he drags him all the way to the ground. That's what really drew the attention of the officials.
So back it comes to 3rd and a short 2. And this time Schrader to the air, but he'll never get there. He is wrapped up by Danny Noonan for the sack at the 18-yard line in his 5th year out of Nebraska.
This Dallas defense, they played good football a year ago. They were 10th overall time.
Gossett to kick, and Kelvin Martin back to receive, and a fair catch is called for, and that's the second great kick tonight off the foot of Gossett as the Cowboys start at their own 30-yard line with 5:33. A 50-yard boot by Gossett, 3-0 Dallas. Well, that gaggle of Raiders does not include Bo Jackson, but if that commercial break is any indication, Bo will get more airtime than any of them individually tonight anyway.
More money, too.
Yes, a lot more.
And a lot safer.
First down for the Dallas Cowboys at their own 32. Dallas ahead 3-0 late first quarter. Emmitt Smith behind Tommy Agee, and he takes it up to the 37-yard line. Greg Townsend makes the tackle. Well, Bo can reminisce at home tonight because Emmitt Smith following Agee, and Agee was the guy who did a lot of the blocking for Bo when Jackson was at Auburn. Agee figures to be their starting fullback. They're minus one fella in the backfield who they'd like to get into camp, and that's Alonzo Highsmith, but that remains to be seen. He's balking on a contract. Second down and 5 as Aikman gets wrapped up and sacked by Howie Long.
See, there was an excellent example. You could hear that whistle and how long it took for the referee to blow the whistle because he was in the grasp and control, but because there was only one person and he wasn't in any immediate danger of getting hit by somebody else, the whistle didn't blow until the conclusion of the play.
You know, a good decision on Aikman's part too here, Dan. First, you'll see the grasp here by Howie Long. The whistle doesn't blow. But he could have gone out to Emmitt Smith. He was picked up and covered well by Benson, and Aikman showing a lot of poise to pull that ball down.
On 3rd and 10 from the 32-yard line. Underneath, and Smith can't one-hand it. It's a little bit behind him. And I mentioned before, Smith didn't catch that many passes last year, but Jimmy Johnson was telling us today he wants to get the ball to Smith through the air a lot.
Well, that was a definite pattern to Smith out of the backfield. He circled behind Novacek to tight end. Novacek almost working like a basketball screen to clear it out for Emmitt Smith, and Aikman just had the ball behind him.
So 4th and 10, and Mike Saxon comes in to kick, and Napoleon McCallum, the one-time Navy star, will receive it at his own 25-yard line. McCallum moves up to the 32 and gets buried at the 35-yard line. The Cowboy charge that time led by Bill Bates. 4:18 to go in the quarter. Well, our final preseason game comes your way a week from tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. We'll be in Denver, where Dan Marino and the Dolphins take on the
With Miami's being able to control the ball last year. No word yet as to how long he's going to be gone.
First down from the 36, and the pass to Marcus Allen. He's taken out of bounds up at the 42-yard line by Manny Hendricks.
That's another dimension that Marcus Allen will give you too. When he does get the ball, oftentimes the Raiders will use him as a wide receiver, flank him out, and they do not have to change their personnel like a lot of teams to get a good effective receiver to the outside. Nod by Schrader to Allen.
Second and 4, and there is Marcus, this time split wide right. Steve Smith is the sole setback. Play clock is down to 3, 2, and at 1 they get it off, and Steve Smith goes nowhere. So it took him a long time to get it off, and it goes nowhere. And that is Vincent Smith, who is trying to win a job as an outside linebacker, who makes the hit.
Dallas playing a 4-3 a lot differently than it's been played in the past by the Dallas Cowboys. It's an attacking 4-3, and it's probably a good thing because the linebackers for Dallas are really all weak side linebackers. The starters will probably be really weak side linebackers. Norton in the middle, Solomon on the left side, Smith on the right side. They basically are all weak side linebackers, but they have one thing in common: they have a lot of speed, and that's what Jimmy Johnson wants with every one of his players.
On 3rd down and 6. Schrader seeking the first down, and it's going to be close as he threads it into Tim Brown. And you can see how far he has to get for the first down. Bates in on the hit along with Hendricks. And they will spot the ball. Apparently, it is a first down, and it is so designated by Jerry Mark Price. So they move the change at the 47-yard line.
Tim Brown expressing a little unhappiness at Bates and company's attempt to push him back behind the first down yardage. He got up pushing and shoving, but that was a beautifully thrown pass by Jay Schrader, and obviously a very precise route by Tim Brown.
Needed 6, got 7. First down Raiders at their own 47. 2:20 to go, first quarter. 3-0 Cowboys. Caught by Gold, and he is down at the Dallas 41-yard line, and that's another Raider first down as they pick on Manny Hendricks.
See, that's a pattern I think teams don't run enough. When you have got blazing speed on the outside, and of course the Raiders have it in the person of Willie Gault. Look at the cushion he gets here by Manny Hendricks. You ought to take advantage of that over and over again. Hendricks playing off of Gault by at least 10 yards, and that is just the easiest completion that Schrader will have all night.
And Hendricks reads the papers. Willie Gault 20.6 yards per reception through his career. So when he throws underneath, it is surprising. At the 41-yard line, 1st and 10, Los Angeles. Play clock is down to 2. Danny Noonan came across. Was he encouraged, however?
Was he invited?
Or did he crash the party?
Encroachment foul, number 73, defense, prior to the snap, 5-yard penalty, first down.
All right, watch it closely. That's Danny Noonan with his hand extended, and right, you can see that he moves first, and he makes the contact. Newt Harrell was instinctive in his quick move, and oftentimes that offensive lineman will end up getting the flag by flinching like that.
Well, Dan, you've spent a lot of years there, but there's a lot of hair triggers in that line. Offensive line and defensive line.
Too many cups of coffee.
Anyway, Bats and they blow out of there.
1st and 5 at the 36-yard line, and Schrader putting it up, going deep down the sideline, and Fernandez was trying to get a penalty call and may have. Holt was with him. Holt was covering him, and he was blanketing him, and Fernandez kept looking back for a flag.
You know, that's one that sometimes a cornerback can get away with, but I think Isaac Holt intentionally made contact with Fernandez. Now the issue comes into play here. Was it a catchable ball? You be the judge. Look at Isaac Holt. When Mervin moves by him, does he intentionally move into him? Yes, right there. He came over with the right arm.
Oh, he had the right arm right across the chest, and the official was standing right there.
Now, the issue of a catchable ball. This ball lands clear out of bounds. Oh, yeah. You see, I don't know how they can rule that that's a catchable ball. But I don't think there was any doubt that Isaac Holt got out there and got the old right arm and impeded the progress of Mervin Fernandez.
And the official who threw the flag was not looking at the ball.
Pass interference, number 30, defense, automatic first down.
They're going to say that it was catchable. There's no question about the pass interference by Holt. He had the right arm right in front of the chest of Fernandez.
Now, a ball can land out of bounds and because of its trajectory still be catchable. And, you know, from that camera angle, it's virtually impossible for us to make that decision. So on the field, they ruled the ball was catchable, and thus the interference stands.
And instant replay has no jurisdiction over whether it's an uncatchable ball. First down from the 13, and Tony Casillas wraps up Marcus Allen. Now here's a guy who was a classic underachiever at Atlanta, high draft choice a few years back, never did anything for the Falcons outside of momentary moments in the sun, you might say, and Jimmy Johnson's going to take a chance with him.
He also said something very revealing about Casillas. He said we followed him from his days in high school when we tried to recruit him at Oklahoma State, and he went to Oklahoma. And he said, we've been trying to get him for the past 2 years. We know what kind of a background he has, and we think he'll be a big help to us. So here he is in a Cowboy uniform.
2nd and 11 at the 13-yard line. Cowboys blitz, and Schrader reads it and hits Smith, and Smith takes the ball down to the 6-yard line, where James Washington spins him out of bounds.
Well, my first broadcasting job was to do the University of Missouri on the radio. And we went.
He's got Russell Maryland, the #1 guy in the draft.
And they got another #1 guy in Jim Jeffcoat, who's fighting for a job.
And they have a 7th-round pick in Leon Lett, who has been spectacular in training camp.
3rd down and 4 as Marcus Allen swings to the outside, and the first period ends on a Raider touchdown. Ethan Horton provides the block that led the way. 6-yard run for Marcus Allen on a 3rd and 4. He goes in, and the Raiders take the lead as time expires in the first quarter. So the Raiders will kick the extra point, and then the kickoff will start the second quarter.
Ethan Horton on the left side did a brilliant move there. Moved to the inside, saw that his man went to the inside, then came out and got in the face of Jesse Solomon. And that is really what made that touchdown happen. I mean, that was not Ethan Horton's man. His guy disappeared to the inside. He went and found another shirt and made a block.
Jeff Jager's kick is good. So Schrader leads them down the field. Allen puts it into the end zone. And we will start the second quarter. Raiders on top 7-3. And we'll return to Irving, Texas after this message. And a word for ABC to 3. And the kickoff here will start the second quarter. Jeff Jager will kick off for the Raiders. And James Dixon and Alexander Wright are back to receive for the Cowboys. The short kick. Here comes Wright, who is a speed burner, but he has no room in which to roam, and he's tackled up at the 22-yard line by Vance Bueller. Take a look at Ethan Horton on the Raider touchdown.
Yeah, here's some smart football. Here's Horton right here. Watch how he steps down to the inside. Now his job here, Tony Tolbert's number 92. If he comes towards you, block him. But if not, go find another face. Rather than just sell out on Horton, he comes out, takes care of Jesse Solomon, and that gives Marcus Allen the touchdown. I mean, that is just good, solid, veteran football by Ethan Horton. A 5-year guy, and that is the way you want a tight end to operate when you're at the point of attack.
And as many of you know, a guy who came up as a running back with Kansas City. At the 22-yard line, Emmitt Smith gets taken down after a pickup of 4. Eddie Anderson comes up from his safety spot, and we'll take a look at the numbers through the first 15 minutes of play, which should be pretty even. 41 yards total for the Raiders and 60 for the Cowboys.
31 rushing by the Cowboys. I'm kind of surprised that Emmitt Smith is staying on tonight as long as he has. They used him on 18 carries a week ago against Kansas City, and we really didn't anticipate we'd see that much of him tonight.
He's carried 7 times for 35 yards. 2nd and 6. And they drop it off underneath, and the catch is made by Alvin Harper. And here's a guy we've not mentioned tonight, but figures to make a very big impact with the Cowboys this year. A first-round draft choice out of Tennessee. You know, with the Cowboys, you have to say a first-round draft choice because they have 17-yard pickup. Dallas at the 43-yard line. And Emmitt Smith to midfield and a little bit beyond. Gain of close to 8. It's going to be 2nd down and 2, and Ronnie Lott comes up to make the stop.
Again, that cutback. This guy loves to start.
What a glimpse on the sidelines. Number 27 is Kirvin Richards. He's a rookie out of Pittsburgh. We'll try to back up Smith as a running back. We'll see him before the night's done. Here's Agee, the up back, and the fullback picks up a first down, taking it to the 46-yard line. So he doesn't get to carry much, but in situations like that, he's able to pick up the first down. In the Canadian League, we'll see him before the night's done. 1st and 10 at the 46-yard line. Good protection. Catch is made. Tight end Novacek at the 35-yard line. Tom Benson makes the tackle. Well, this is a pretty balanced attack right now. You've got Emmitt Smith running the ball and Harper.
Their scheme for protecting the quarterback much simpler than when David Shula was the offensive coordinator, and Aikman needs that time. He needs all the help he can get.
Here's Smith. Can't shake loose. Tackle is made by Winston Moss, the former Tampa Bay Buck, whom the Raiders acquired in a trade, and he will supplant Jerry Robinson as a starting outside linebacker.
Along the lines of what Dan was talking about, the Cowboys brought in a new offensive coordinator, David Shula. Well, Norv Turner was recommended by everyone, particularly Ernie Zampese, the offensive coordinator of the Rams, and he's here doing a fine job.
Second down and 9. Aikman off the deep drop, protected well, threads the needle at the 17-yard line. That's Novacek again, and we mentioned he caught more passes than any tight end in the league last year, and 1991 figures to be more of the same.
He gets off the line of scrimmage like more like a scat back. He's 6'4" quarterback is getting a lot of time to throw the football, and Aikman's getting that.
7-3 Los Angeles, but Dallas moving at the 17. 10:15 to play, first half. First and 10. Line does its job again, and then the pass is flat out dropped. That would have been Novacek's fourth catch.
Aikman had just a little too much on that for a Novacek, and of course Novacek might have been thinking Ronnie Lott. Don't know for sure, but Ronnie was making the move on him. There's Ronnie Lott. And there is Novacek. He might have been thinking the bells are going to chime any moment.
Yeah, but that's also a guy you have to say about Novacek. You can count his drop balls during the course of a season on one hand. I mean, he's that sure-handed.
Second and 10 at the 17. Novacek in motion, and they give it to Smith, but then he slips. He had no chance to get started, and Nolan Harrison gets credit for what amounts to an easy tackle.
It rained all there 3 days later.
Third and 10. Cowboys began this drive at the beginning of the quarter. Aikman under pressure, but unloads, hits Irvin. He is tackled at the 12. They're short of the first down. McDaniel makes the stop, but Dallas comes up short. Needed 10 and got about 6.
That time they got a little pressure on Aikman, but he also was able to deliver that ball quickly. I don't know whether we mentioned it or not, but during the offseason last January, he had both elbow surgery and shoulder surgery, and it has no effect on him at all. He just flipped this ball off his back foot, got it in there, short of the first down, but a good illustration that he has a completely whole arm once again.
Well, the Raiders, with their back to the goal line, hold again.
30-yard field goal attempt coming up for Ken Willis to try to get Dallas to within a point. And the kick is perfect. Novacek did the holding. And with 8:37 to go in the half at Texas Stadium, it's the Raiders 7 and the Cowboys 6. We get the idea.
On a repeated basis. That guy would stand behind your bench and honk his little whistle and jump up and down on that horse.
Come on, Dan, get yourself together here.
I still don't like it. In fact, I may go down there right now.
Willis kicks off, and this is Jamie Holland, who fumbles the football, and it is picked up inbounds by the Cowboys. And this is Dallas's ball on a recovery by Dixon Edwards after a strip by Kenneth Gant.
Well, you talk about a great athletic.
Boys are back in business at the Raider 15. Again, the Raiders stiffen down deep, and we'll see if they can do it again. Aikman lost it incomplete, intended for Tommy Agee. So the element of surprise there. They throw very infrequently to their fullback, but Eddie Anderson wasn't fooled.
Oh, that time it's just thrown properly. That's an easy 6 points for Dallas.
There is Gant, who made the hit that created the fumble and also had that spectacular tackle to score on a kickoff return. Emmitt Smith goes nowhere. He is wrapped up from behind by Nolan Harrison, who's trying to win a job along the defensive front for the Raiders, and that's going to be tough to do because they've got some very good people up there. One, in fact, is missing, Scott Davis. He's a holdout. Harrison is a rookie out of Indiana.
6th round draft pick, big one too, 6'5", 285. He's made a couple of big plays tonight. Now he comes out, the nickel comes in for the Raiders. Cowboys bring in a 3rd wide receiver.
3rd down and 10 at the 15. 7:40 to go in the half. Raiders lead by a point. Aikman, the short drop, and then has it knocked down at the 5-yard line by Ronnie Lott.
Here is a guy running away from the play. The ball thrown back behind him, and somehow still manages to jump up in the air and knock it down with his right hand. Just watch the athleticism of Ronnie Lott. He's running away from where this ball's going and still reacts back for that pass intended for Michael Irvin.
Got to say it again. The Raiders have stiffened once again inside their 20.
You got to love a guy like Ronnie Lott. I mean, he comes to play and plays preseason or not.
33-yard attempt by Willis is good. So Willis has made one from 26, another from 30, and now this one to give Dallas the lead. 7:27 to go in the half. A 2-point margin for the Cowboys.
And what magical moments here in Texas Stadium when number 33 was turning the corner with the football.
Dallas ahead 9-7. Willis kicks off to the goal line. Jamie Holland, who fumbled on his last run back, tries to semi-atone with a decent return here, and he's ridden out of bounds up at the 31-yard line. That's where the Raiders will begin their next drive. 7:16 remaining in the opening half. Craig are now teammates, and there they are through their careers. They've each played in the same number of games, and that's combined yardage, rushing and receiving, and as you can see, both very close to 100 per game in their careers. Allen now is on the sideline, and he will watch Craig, who sets up in a slot to the right with McCallum out of the backfield as well. And Schrader throwing on 1st down to goal for a 12-yard gain and a 1st down at the 43-yard line, tackled by Robert Williams.
Oh, look at the cushion that they will give a Willie Galt. And he has that great speed, as do all the Raider wide receivers. He laid off about 5 yards at Robert Williams, who's made a couple of good plays tonight, but he was certainly respecting Galt, and a good read by Schrader, because he looked out there and he knew right away that Williams was going to be man for man. He knew he could get that deep out.
6:35 to go in the half. Cowboys on top 9-7 on 1st down. Here is Roger Craig eluding one man in the backfield and then gang tackled up at the 45-yard line. Charge is led by Danny Noonan, and that's the Craig trademark, as those knees keep on grinding and pumping.
Well, Frank talked earlier about the penetrating defense of Dallas, and that was Jimmy Jones who hit Roger Craig in the backfield and really disrupted the play. That's a good job by Craig to even get positive yardage out of that. Jones first made contact with him about 3 yards in the backfield.
Second and 8 up at the 45-yard line. Schrader, perfect throw to Mervin Fernandez, who is run out of bounds by Gain after Fernandez picks up a 1st down, and the Raiders will have the ball at the Dallas 43-yard line.
You think Jay Schrader is aware of the fact that Isaac Holt and Manny Hendricks, the 2 first corners of the Cowboys, are out of the ball game?
He came in this series and his eyes lit up like a pinball machine. Let's go get him, guys. Starts firing to the outside. Fernandez with not the speed perhaps of Willie Galt, but he has a great gait to get open on the deep pattern. He'll blow right by you.
There's Hendricks, number 45.
And you saw Isaac Holt before. So they're gone for the moment anyway, and maybe for the rest of the night. Craig is split to the right from the 44-yard line. It's back to Galt. And 7-yard gain. Robert Williams playing him soft with a capital S.
Jay and Willie being shameless here, and they're going to work immediately on these new Dallas corners. And I'd give this guy a big cushion too. Look at that. A good 8 yards being given by Robert Williams on that side, and that is exactly the pattern you have to throw.
Robert Williams was in another area code. You can't give that to anyone, no matter what kind of speed he is. Galt is coming off a great year. His best in a 9-year career, 8-year career, 50 receptions a year, going very close to his 20.6 average. He averaged almost 20 yards last year on 50 receptions. Had a great year.
2nd and 3 at the 36-yard line, and here's Roger Craig. Nowhere to go. Bottled up at the line of scrimmage. Jack Del Rio, out of the University of Southern California, and a 7-year veteran and a man trying to win the starting middle linebacking spot. Remember, they gave away Eugene Lockhart in a draft day trade. They sent him to New England to trade up from Maryland, and now it's Del Rio and Norton fighting it out for the middle linebacker spot.
And this is really the game that's going to determine which one of those two guys ends up being the starting middle linebacker, because this is their last time to have a middle linebacker. Their last 2 preseason games are against run and shoot teams. What, Atlanta and Detroit? Houston.
3rd and 2 from the 36-yard line. A lot of time for Schrader and a lot of room for Galt, and Galt has another first down. Robert Williams, well, he just refuses to be burned deep.
Dude, this was about an 18-yard out, and you have got to be tighter than that. Williams just backpedaling. Now watch this. Williams is laying off almost 15 yards at this point. He turns into a sprint right here, and Galt sells him that he's going to take it deep, spins him around to the outside. That's a beautiful move. But keep in mind that Schrader needed all the time in the world to do that. Good protection for quarterback Jay Schrader.
3:10 left in the half. Schrader is 9 of 10 for 87 yards.
And this clock isn't moving fast enough for Robert Williams.
Play clock is down to 2. Roger Craig moves with a flag thrown inside the 10 and gets all the way down to the 7, but a marker is down at the line of scrimmage.
Marker, no marker. That was sort of vintage Roger Craig. Look to the outside and cut it back to the inside. The Raiders are indicating it goes against the Cowboys, but good move by Craig, who we all talked to last night, and his knee is fine. The one troubling a year ago says no problem at all. He's added about 10 or 12 pounds.
Actually, Craig flinched on that a little bit too.
Offside, number 92, defense, penalty declined, 2nd down.
Tony Tolbert moved for Dallas, but Roger Craig threw a pretty good flinch back there in the backfield as well. Take a look at Craig, the lone up back. Oop, there's a little hitch in his giddy up. Luckily, the referee didn't see that, or those would have been offsetting. That's a penalty this year. You're not allowed to simulate the start of a play.
Penalty is declined, so it's an 8-yard gain, and it's 2nd down and 2 at the 7-yard line. 2.5 minutes to go in the half. Schrader off the fake, going for the end zone, and no. Andrew Glover caught it, but he was out of bounds. Kenneth Gant covering on the play. Glover, was he pushed? He's a rookie out of Grambling who caught a touchdown pass against Miami and Tokyo last week.
He would have landed out, no whether he was pushed or not. 6'6", 235 pounds, big target. Jay perhaps hanging on to it just a little too long. You can see when he comes down with it, that right foot's going to be well out of bounds.
Yeah, the shove had nothing to do it. And by the way, this is a contact sport. You are allowed to hit people, but good call by the official, who is in perfect position.
3rd and 2 at the 7. And it's Roger Craig not getting the first down. Jack Del Rio makes the tackle.
And score major points for Del Rio in his quest to be the starting middle linebacker. That was a good read. He didn't have to fight off a blocker, but he did make the good read to fight his way through traffic.
It'll be 4th and 1.5 yards. They've already sent the field goal unit out, but right now we have a break in the action because we have come upon the 2-minute warning.
We have.
Yes, sir.
What a poetic way to put it.
back up.
That little guy bother you too, Dan?
Pardon me?
That little guy with the boots on bother you when he played here?
No, he's really rather cute.
This is a 24-yard field goal attempt for Jeff Jaeger on 4th down, and that is good. And so with 1:57 remaining in the first half, the Raiders have reassumed the lead by a score of 10-9. Well, Saturday at 2 o'clock Eastern and Pacific and 1 o'clock Central, ABC Sports coverage of the, on the right, the president and the owner of the Raiders, even though I think Al's new title is
Czar?
well,
Emperor?
Yeah, they change it every year here. It is president of the general partner. Not of the general partners, president of the general partner. Okay.
Al also leads in pages in the media guide by management.
And he's the man who hired Art Shell, the first black coach in modern NFL history. And the man with his back to you is Terry Robisky, who is listed by the Raiders as a tight end coach. But Art Shell saying last night he's my offensive coordinator because he does call the plays. Jaeger kicks off. It's fielded by Kervin Richards at the 2. And the rookie out of Pittsburgh, who we will see later at running back, takes it back out to the 18-yard line.
And you also referred tonight to Dave Adolph as the defensive coordinator, as Art Shell did last night, as we watched Al Locasil flinch.
The Cowboys take over at their own 20. 1:52 left in the half. This game, well, let's face it, preseason results don't mean much, but clearly it would be a nice game for the Cowboys to win, where they are in the transition this franchise is making to beat the Raiders at home. If nothing else, as Emmitt Smith takes it through the middle for a gain of 18. A win helps sell tickets, and runs like that will very much.
Sticking away at about a minute and a half.
That's the run by Smith, and now back live with the no huddle. The receivers are covered, and then Aikman takes it out to the 42-yard line, and he is stopped there. The Cowboys have 2 timeouts remaining.
Stopped by Howie Long, a guy that we really haven't mentioned very much tonight. He's back for his 11th year, one of the truly great defensive linemen of his era.
2nd and 7, and the pass is behind Alexander Wright, who was covered by Terry McDaniel. It'll be 3rd down and 7.
I don't want to see this guy catching 5-yard outs. I want to see Alexander Wright take off. The fastest player he has ever been around. I mean, granted they have a very fast track at the Cowboys Valley Ranch facility, but when you start tossing out 4 140s, you've entered a whole different world.
Either that or going to the stopwatch check.
Yeah.
On 3rd and 7, Aikman has it batted, and then Townsend was there but couldn't get to it. It was Anthony Smith who comes in. He was their draft choice last year out of Arizona, who got hurt in preseason. Otherwise, he'd have made a big impact.
And that's how quarterbacks tear up their arms when they get hit in the motion of throwing the football. I mean, Troy Aikman is lucky he's not hurt. That is a great way for a quarterback to damage an elbow or a shoulder.
Mike Saxon is forced to punt now. Napoleon McCallum is back to receive at the 15-yard line. 57 seconds remaining in the half. Raiders on top 10-9. Good deep kick. McCallum takes it at his 9-yard line. And he runs it back 12 yards out to the 21. So Troy can only hope that his career ends the same way that Terry's did. From the 22-yard line, as the Raiders, with less than a minute to play, have Craig take it out to the 37-yard line.
Well, you know, the Steelers did it with great drafting. You know, drafting people like Bradshaw and Joe Green and Jack Ham and all the way down the line. And you know, Dallas, with the amount of draft choices they have, if they have some of them pan out, we could be looking at a team that could be good for a long time.
Raiders have taken a timeout. We'll take a look at the new Dallas Cowboys, a team that came very close to making the playoffs last year after going 1-15 in '89.
What's this? The old Al? Well, you're right. It's the old Al, comma, and then Frank Gadet. So,
I like the building.
yeah.
You know, we talked about the comparison of Bradshaw and Troy Aikman. And again, I don't believe we mentioned tonight is a cheerleaders reunion here at Texas Stadium. They're all over the stadium. And Greg Janoff, our director, is very successful in finding them. But Chuck Nolan, his first year, won only one football game.
Well, that was a nice segue.
Only one football game. Well, I didn't control that shot.
First down from the 38-yard line, and Schrader airs it out, and doing an Academy Award job is Willie Gall trying to get a flag. Robert Williams covering, but the side judge doesn't buy it.
Williams has figured out how to do it. Just get tangled up with him, hope for the best.
If it's inadvertent, you get away with it. As he turned back to the ball.
Way to make it inadvertent is make sure you're looking back like you're planning on an interception. He has a right to that football, just like Willie Gall.
But Don Hakes, the side judge, said you've seen better acting than that, Willie. 31 seconds, second down and 10. Raiders on top by a point. Three-man Cowboy rush. And then Schrader unloads, and he had Brown open, but he overthrows him. Brown had found some open space on the far side, but Schrader couldn't get it there. Third down.
I think Schrader was
Third
plays
down
in a row for Willie.
Third down and 10. Schrader going the whole half. We're going to see Steve Berline in the second half, and then time permitting, we may see Todd Marinovich in the fourth quarter, according to Art Shell. Here's Roger Craig on 3rd and 10. Kind of a curious call under the circumstances. Tony Tolbert makes the stop.
Cowboys want to stop the clock, and they would like to run this punt back.
There's Berline without the helmet, who we'll see in the second half. Clearly, with the Raiders, you've got Schrader, who is number 1. You've got Marinovich, who will be the number 3 quarterback during the season, but he has a job cemented because he is the number 1 draft choice. There's Vince Evans, who played last week against Miami in the second half of Tokyo and looked good. He's 36 years old. So the question is, do you keep Evans or do you keep Berline?
Berline, of course, a couple of years ago was the starter for most of 88 and 89, and then held out at the beginning of last year. And when he finally came into camp, he just sat around in the civvies and carried a clipboard. Was inactive for 14 games and the 2 postseason games.
Few players have paid the price of a holdout quite the way Steve Berline did. I mean, he plummeted off the charts, out of here, gonzo.
Well, there's some thoughts that maybe the management and Art Shell wanted to go with Jay Schrader no matter what the cost last year, and so they weren't really concerned with the holdout.
There is a story to be told there, and I'm not quite sure what it is. Gossett, his punt bounces inside the 10, and fortunately for Kelvin Martin, who was back there, it did not die inside the 10. Not that it really matters, though, with 5 seconds left in the half.
Never took part in a play. That's what happens when you play behind a Bradshaw, I guess.
Like Jimmy Johnson says, it's like a vintage car with not much mileage on it. You just hope the battery hasn't died while it's been sitting in the garage.
He could characterize him as a vintage truck. He's a horse.
And a half. Speaking of a half, we have a crowd in excess of 50,000 tonight looking on. 10-9, the Raiders lead it at halftime. And when the regular season begins, the Cowboys will open at Cleveland, and then we'll be here for the second Monday night game of the year on September 9th when the Redskins come in to face the Cowboys. Irvin Richards and Kenneth Gant are back to receive the second half kickoff for the Cowboys. Jeff Jager will put it in the air. Richards is the man on the left, the rookie from Pittsburgh. And Richards takes it at the 11-yard line. And Irvin goes swerving all the way up to the 49-yard line.
Irving. Strange kickoff. That ball went up like a punt. And it gave the coverage time to get down under it, and Irving got through that first line, and he was gone.
And then he bounced off that, and he was involved in another as well, at least obstruction. from the 48-yard line. That is Kervin Richards, who picks up 3. So we've probably seen all of Aikman and all of Emmitt Smith, and we'll see Cliff Stout at quarterback and a lot of Richards.
Relatively meager output in the first half.
2nd and 7 from the 49-yard line. Richards again, who elected not to play his final season at Pittsburgh. He came out, Cowboys drafted him, and he knows he's not going to be a first-teamer, but trying to win the backup job as Derek Crudup makes the stop.
Yeah, he averaged about 5 yards per carry last week against Kansas City. Not all that big, 5'9", a couple of 100 pounds.
And when you think of the University of Pittsburgh and the Dallas Cowboys, well, you saw him sitting in the stands before, Tony Dorsett. That's a well-traveled road. From the 42-yard line, Stout hits Darrell Johnston, who gets ridden out of bounds at the 37 after a pickup of about 6.
We talked about awfully good. Jimmy Johnson talking well about Stout at our meeting earlier today. He likes the way he hangs in the pocket.
Aikman looking on. He's done for the night. 2nd and 4. And here's Richards, and he vaults into no man's land because 2 Raiders were there, including Anthony Smith. And also helping to break up the play as well was Mike Jones.
A lot of changes. Both teams have over 70 players. First cut down to 60 players doesn't come until what, August the 20th, and down to 47 on the 26th of August.
3rd down and 7 at the 39-yard line. Stout goes deep, but there's a flag down as the intended receiver was knocked down. Dan Land covering on the play, but it was Alvin Harper who was there. He would have been the receiver. And he was interfered with, and Jerry Markwright will tell us about it.
Torrin Dorn was the Raider in the immediate vicinity. There's Dorn, 46, and he was the closest Raider to the receiver. Let's see.
It's the Dan Land interception. The call was made on Gary Lewis, and it's a first down for Dallas at the 34-yard line. Early 3rd quarter, Raiders lead 10-9. Stout gets buried back at the 40-yard line. That's Anthony Smith leading the charge. He missed all of last year, tore his knee up at the end of preseason. High draft choice out of the University of Arizona last year. It'd be difficult for him to win a starting job, but he's a man for the future for Al Davis and the Raiders. Number 1 pick in 1990.
Made a couple of good plays tonight.
Well, when you look at the status of the defensive line in Raiderland with Bob Golick in his 12th year and Howie Long in his 11th, they're in need of bringing along some young players and getting somebody ready to go. Townsend's a 9-year guy, so it's not a young group.
2nd and 15. And Stout on an out pattern finds Kelvin Martin. Martin actually had more receptions than any Cowboy last year. Interestingly, he caught 64, but never got into the end zone.
And he's more of a possession type receiver. He doesn't have to get out of it. He still leaves 3rd and long.
3rd and 11 specifically at the 35-yard line. Everybody out into the pattern. And now Stout pulls up a little short.
Oh, he was over the line of scrimmage.
Yes, he was over the line of scrimmage, and the flag is thrown.
Cliff in need of some new brake pads.
That's right.
He tried to throw a halt to the old moving body there, but it just didn't stop.
Well, we talked about him like that vintage car without much mileage, so he needs a new brake pads and maybe a new battery.
Well, he was betwixt and between. He was in no man's land. He almost had a receiver, and then he decided he didn't.
Well, the ball snapped from right on the 35.
Illegal forward pass. Number 18, offense.
Where is somebody?
Yeah, he was
1
over
yard
by a
beyond
yard.
the line of scrimmage when the ball was thrown. Also lost it down.
All right, Jerry
4th down.
Markwright giving us the exact length of his transgression. And that's a real plus to hear it from the referee.
So on 4th down, they line up to punt. Mike Saxon will do the booting. And he's going to fake it as Mike Saxon now on 4th down throws, and that's an awful looking pass. Not even close. Any flag goes down after the play.
Flag down, but that was on 4th down and 15. Was that an intentional play? I don't know.
I
think he just figured he couldn't get the punt off without getting it blocked, so he tried to make the most of it.
Yeah, I agree. He got pressure from the right side, and it was going to be blocked.
Elvis Patterson came quickly in from the corner.
Well, I'm sure there were ineligible receivers downfield. If his linemen up front were expecting the ball to be kicked, they were already gone and downfield.
Illegal man downfield, number 58, offense. Penalty is declined. Incompleted pass. It was 4th down. It's now 1st down. Timeout.
Who needs a play-by-play guy with Mark right around?
Absolutely.
Get him in the union. From time to time.
Well, Al, it's real simple. When you're trapped back there as a punter, your only two options are to either run with the ball and try to make something happen, but preferably avoid that guy that's coming in on the rush and then kick it. You got to try to kick it. Here's the reception that he got from Jimmy Johnson when he went off to the sideline. And I think that's what's being explained to Saxon right now.
So the Raiders take over at the 39-yard line, and Roger Craig keeps moving forward and takes it out for a gain of 6, but a marker is down. Vince Albritton hits him, but the 6-yard pickup will come back. Steve Berline is now at the helm for the Raiders.
Holding number 63, offense, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Craig again. We've watched this for so many years. McCollum bits a hit on Craig, just bounces off. It's worth watching, even though they bring it back. That's 2 pretty nice runs that Roger Craig has had brought back because of fouls tonight.
That holding call was on Josh.
Berline on 1st and 20. Swings it out to Andrew Glover, and Glover loses the football, but the Raiders apparently keep possession, and they do before it goes out of bounds at about the 37-yard line. James Fitzpatrick, the lineman, 73, gets over there to recover it. Put it at the 36-yard line.
Al, who's that guard there, number 63? What's his name? Josh?
Tawi.
Tawi? Is that how we're pronouncing it?
It will be from now on tonight.
I just called him Josh.
Toy. Here's Roger Craig up to the 41-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 8. Jack Del Rio makes the tackle.
That time he chose to go underneath the block. If you're going to do that, you better get there. And that's exactly what he did, and it was a good angle.
3rd down and 8. Berline under a lot of heat. Sacked at the 31. Jim Jeffcoat, who's fighting for his job, a longtime Cowboy, a guy who's been here through the lean years and the good years as well, and a flag is down. But Jim Jeffcoat, well, his very job is at stake in preseason.
I think that time he was working against another veteran, Bruce Wilkerson. Procedural call here against the Raiders. A good upfield move, though, by Jim Jeffcoat.
Illegal shift. 2 offensive men moving at the same time. Penalty is declined. 3rd down.
It's 4th down. And Mark Wright has corrected it. Johnson the punt. That's Kelvin Martin back at his own 30-yard line. 8:51 to go, 3rd quarter. Raiders on top, 10-9. Cowboys try to block it, and the kick is a short one, fielded at the 32 by Martin. He runs it back out to the 39. with 8:40 remaining in the time.
But like I said in the open, Al, it's a much tougher schedule this year. What 9 of their games are going to be against teams who were in the playoffs last year. So it's a much more difficult schedule in 91 than 90.
From the 39-yard line, plowing straight ahead is Kervin Richards. You know, one problem, it's an interesting thing, Dan. You mentioned they play 9 games against playoff teams, and a lot of that has to do with their division, because 3 of those teams, the Giants, the Eagles, and the Redskins, went to the playoffs last year, so that's right off the bat 6 games.
Yeah.
Since you played them twice.
Yeah, they're about how close they came, but they also had a 7-9 record.
Well, let's put it this way. To achieve a 7-9 record again this year, they're going to have to be better than they were last year. I mean, they can be better and they have the exact same record.
2nd and 5 at the 44-yard line. Kervin Richards up to the 47-yard line. It will be 3rd and 2 when they unpile. Jones in on the hit.
When you look at the Cowboys, it appears to me that they have invested a lot of their draft choices in the wide receiver area, in running back, and defensively. I wouldn't be surprised next year to see them take, what do they have, 2 number 1s, 2 number 2s, 2 number 3s, and the possibility, I guess, of even a 3rd number 1. I wouldn't be surprised to see them invest heavily in their offensive line. I think building a wall in front of Troy Aikman would be the next big important step for the Dallas Cowboys.
3rd and a long one, and the Cowboys still trying to figure out what they want to do, and so Stout has asked for and received the preseason schedule. Most of the Raider first-teamers are done for the night. Marcus Allen certainly. We could see Roger Craig, however, before the night is done. Troy Aikman is finished after playing the first half. Cliff Stout is the quarterback, and he comes up to the line with a 3rd and a long one at the 48-yard line. 7:09 to go in the 3rd quarter. AG goes in motion. And the blitz is picked up, but the pass is underthrown. It did force Stout to get rid of it quickly. 4th down.
Mike Jones, a rookie linebacker that really put the snap that time to Cliff Stout, a rookie out of the University of Missouri. Kind of an undersized guy at 6'1", 220. A lot of talented linebackers on this Raiders squad, though. That's a tough go to make it.
They did a good job on the Cowboy receivers too, because Stout had no place to put it.
Here's Saxon to punt. He's also 0 for 1 passing tonight. Gets it away this time. Fair catch is called for and made at the 19-yard line, and there are flags down at the line of scrimmage. So somebody lined up offside.
Elvis Patterson is screaming that he was held in his attempt to rush the punter, but this is the call that's an illegal receiver downfield, an illegal man downfield.
There are 2 flags. We're going to have a couple of calls here.
Patterson was incensed that he was dragged to the ground. He's still pleading his case out there.
Illegal man downfield on the kick, number 58. Kicking team, penalty declined. 1st down.
To put pressure on the punter. I think that's Bill Bates he's working against right there. No, that's not Bates. That's number 48. That's Daryl Johnston.
One of the finer tackles of the game.
Yeah.
1st down LA from the 18-yard line. Burline too high. The pass intended for Sam Grady. Running an out pattern, and it's 2nd and 10. Grady, an Olympic sprinter, won a gold medal in 1984 as part of the 4x100 relay team.
The Raiders can put some speed out there with Willie Gault, Grady, Ron Brown.
Speaking of Brown, you just saw Larry Brown go back in to the defensive huddle and now comes out on the corner. They want to take a long look at this rookie out of TCU. Even though he was picked in the 12th round, they think he's got a chance to start. Greg Bell up to the 25-yard line, and here's a guy we mentioned at the very top. He's had 3,000-yard seasons in his illustrious career with the Bills and the Rams and now the Raiders, but he's a guy on the bubble the way it looks right now. You've got Marcus Allen and you've got Craig, and you know they're going to make room for Nick Bell, the rookie, even though he's hurt right now. So what about Greg?
And Napoleon McCallum. But Larry Brown is one place where the Cowboys are going to look very closely tonight at the defensive cornerback, because while they have a couple of good starters in Holt and Hendricks, they need some help there.
3rd down and 3. Blitz is on, and they get it away. Burline from the 30-yard line to Jamie Holland, and that's enough for a first down up to the 31-yard line. Blitz that time by the corner, Robert Williams, and Burline got rid of the ball and picks up the first down.
And Burline and Holland right in sync. Holland breaking across the middle underneath another receiver, was wide open. He pulled up when he saw the blitz, and Burline got it to him.
1st and 10. Raiders at their own 31. 5:35 left, 3rd quarter. 10-9 Raiders. Doug Lloyd and Greg Bell are the running backs. Bell juggles it, recaptures it, and then he gets captured by a half-dozen Cowboys. Vince Albritton, the ringleader.
Jim Jeffcoat is trying to figure out how he came up with nothing. He was back into the Raider backfield unblocked. Made a stab at Bell, and I mean came up with nothing. Now how frustrating is this for a defensive end? There you are, he's right in your face, and you just go all the way around him, and luckily your teammates came in and helped you clean up, but that's frustrating for a defensive end.
And on a night when Jim Jeffcoat probably figures he needs some big plays.
Yeah.
2nd and 11. Over the middle, wide open is Lloyd, and a first down, but he fumbles the football, and the Cowboys have it at the Raider 47. Larry Brown with a recovery.
Jimmy Johnson likes defensive backs that make the play, and that was one play by Larry Brown. Jack Del Rio also in on that play.
Apparently reviewing some aspect of this play. Kamansky, the replay official, in the sealed-in booth this year. At the 46-yard line, Stout sacked and holds on to it. A.J. Jimerson, who's been making his presence felt in preseason for the Raiders, was there to drop him back at the 44-yard line.
Emerson had a couple of sacks last week against Miami. Very quick. 6'3" and about 245 out of Norfolk State. Coming from the opposite side. And Stout just lucky he held on to the football.
Yeah, watch Jimerson's hand there. It goes right underneath the football. Cliff subconsciously just elevated the ball a little bit, picked it up, and Jimerson's hand went right underneath.
2nd and 20. 4:15 to play. 3rd quarter. 10-9 Raiders. Stout drops it off over the middle. It's Tommy Agee back into Raider territory. He goes to the 48-yard line.
Agee, pretty good receiver out of the backfield last year, and the player out of Kansas City a year ago.
3rd down 10. Cowboys from the 46-yard line. And it's a first down as Stout finds Rob Awol, the number 2 tight end for the Cowboys, and a first down up at the 34-yard line.
Pretty fine recovery by Stout. Gets in trouble, loses 10. He has a 2nd down and 20. Moves the ball for a first down. And good running on the part of Awol.
You know, Cliff Stout just strikes me as just the perfect guy you want to have on your team to come in and not just clean up, but I mean the guy that's capable of coming in and winning football games for you. And he's got a home here in Dallas.
34-yard line, Curvin Richards to the 26. Well, Stout reminds me of Don Strock.
Yeah.
Strock at
years of age can not have something wrong.
2nd and 3. And swinging to the outside is Emmitt Smith, and that's unusual for Smith to come back into the game where he stopped by A.J. Jimerson.
A.J. having quite a second half here so far. Jimerson is all over the place, making one big play after the other. And he's feeling the effects of it. Very much.
Is he figured to be done for the night? He's going to be their prime guy this year, but maybe it goes back to what we said. This game is more important to the Cowboys to win than the Raiders. As Stout gets knocked out of bounds, finds nobody open, and Nolan Harrison is there, and he's had a pretty big night for a guy who hasn't played that much.
Yeah, that also will take the Cowboys probably out of field goal range. Had he been able to deliver that ball downfield, even incomplete, they would have had at least a field goal attempt. Stout loses it back all the way to the 40-yard line when the line of scrimmage was about the 34.
And here comes Saxon. Well, we said before, the Cowboys, again, they've made the transition from doormats to a team that is on the verge of the playoffs. And they're at home. They want to regain their fans. They want to sell some tickets. They want to build some confidence. So clearly, a victory would be nice for them when this one doesn't matter at all to the Raiders, whether they win or lose. Touchback. Back it comes to the 20-yard line when the Raiders take over. So the Cowboys indeed forced out of field goal range, and the Raiders still have the lead in the waning seconds of the period. In the game, it doesn't appear to be a serious injury. In fact, during the break, there was a smile on his face, but he was shaken up.
Put some kind of a bandage on his lower leg, and I think he probably might have suffered a little cut on the lower leg.
Here is Roger Craig picking up 3 before he gets gang tackled at the 23-yard line. As the period winds down, some NFL news. Barry Sanders signs with Detroit. He'll trade it to fair condition as the catch is made by Doug Lloyd, and it's a first down up at the 42-yard line, and our very best to Paul.
Yeah, really, and our colleague at NBC, and a real shock to find out that he had chest pains, but the good news is been moved from the ICU, upgraded to fair. Even some talk that hopefully he'll get out of the hospital in Buffalo in the early part of the week, maybe as early as Tuesday or Wednesday. So our best to Paul McGuire.
Third quarter is over. It was a scoreless 15 minutes, and back will come with Monday Night Football preseason action after this word from our ABC station.
There you go, Dan.
Take your winning lucky number 05337 to the main office at 81 Texas Stadium to receive your gift certificate courtesy of various gambling. Check number 12, Todd Gould.
We start the fourth quarter and the start of a career for Todd Marinovich. The Raiders' #1 draft choice out of USC. He elected to come out early. The Raiders have it at the 42, and his first handoff is to Greg Bell, who takes it into Dallas territory to the 48-yard line. And so we'll get into the Marinovich story in a moment, but there are the statistics through the first 3 quarters. And again, very even. Cowboys with the edge in time of possession, but the Raiders have the edge on the scoreboard. 10-9. Second down and inches at the 48-yard line. Marinovich played 2 seasons at USC. He has Mueller behind him. And Marinovich, the left-hander, throws, and the catch is made by Mike Alexander for a first down. And when you see a left-hander in a Raider uniform, you just think about the snake.
So many great years. The Raiders were led by Kenny Stabler.
Was it Stabler's number 12?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders do not retire numbers, and you're right, talk about a similarity. And that pass brings to mind the very first thing Art Shell said about Todd Marinovich. Accurate. Very accurate.
Greg Bell fights for 7. Takes it to the 33-yard line.
We also asked Art about the strength of Marinovich's arm, because the Raiders notoriously like to take it deep. He said no problem there. He can take it deep. And you got the feeling that they're going to bring him along slow, but you also get the feeling that Art Shell thinks that somewhere down the line he could be their man.
Speaking of heralded draft choices, Russell Maryland is also in the game right now across the line, number 67 for the Cowboys. First man taken in the entire draft in April out of the University of Miami. 2nd and 3. Here's Bell, and there's Jeffco.
Russell Maryland signing a long-term contract with the Dallas Cowboys, and the reported figures, a $3 million signing bonus.
Recruited, of course, by Jimmy
3
Johnson.
big ones.
Doesn't seem so big anymore, you know.
Well,
It used to seem big.
well,
But of course, Jimmy Johnson plans on rotating Casillas and Maryland and Noonan, those key 3 interior spots.
Third and 4 as Marinovich throws into a lot of traffic, and it is picked off on a bounce, or did it hit the ground? And there's a marker down as well, and a player down as Albritton came up with it off the hands of Grady, but a flag down. Did it hit the ground, or didn't it to begin with, as Mark Bright and his crew get together?
I think there's going to be an interference call.
In any event,
At the very least.
a superbly thrown ball by Marinovich. He drilled that right in there to the slanting back. Not the easiest thing to throw, and maybe in preseason that's probably the most important item.
Defensive holding. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
All right, let's look at the top of our screen and see if that's the call. Oh, actually, they're calling Jim Jeffcoat. If we get another look at that, they're calling Jim Jeffcoat, I believe, on the defensive hold. That's where that one. There's Jeffcoat, and his penalty gives the Raiders a first down.
1st and 10, LA at the 29, 12:28 to go in the game. 10-9 Los Angeles, and Marinovich with nice touch, but Grady was there, and a flag is there as well. Robert Williams covering, but you see the flag.
Grady might have been interfered just before the ball was in his hands, but it should not have kept him from catching the football. Marinovich laid it right in there.
Well, I don't know, Frank. It looked like Williams' hands pulled
Pass
down Grady's
interference.
arm.
Number 23, defense in the end zone.
I don't know that
First
Grady.
down on the 1-yard line.
I don't know that Grady had a shot at that. It looks like Williams actually gets his arms on Grady's arm and pulls it down. Williams is going to leave his feet, realizing he's beaten right there.
Oh yeah. Grabbed the right arm. No way he could catch it. They're going to give him a touchdown.
I'll give him a 1st and goal.
Yeah, give him the first and goal.
But I guess Williams really had no other choice. He was beat by, again, the speed of the Raiders.
1st and goal, and here is Bell to lose about a half yard. 2nd and goal.
Well, we talked about the penetrating defense of Dallas and what they're trying to do, and there was the number 1 guy, Russell Maryland. He's the guy that made the play. He disrupted that entire thing by getting about 4 yards upfield.
Jeffcoat also making a big play. He's having a big night, Jeffcoat.
Yeah. There's Maryland way upfield, and then Jeffcoat comes in and cleans up. But wow, that was a real burst by Russell Maryland.
2nd and goal at the 2. And Bell makes the catch for the touchdown off the play fake. Marinovich leads them down the field, and that's not a bad beginning to what he hopes will be a long and illustrious career.
Pretty good drive. Start at their own 20-yard line. Intermixed the pass with the run. And showed a lot of touch.
Jeff Yeager will kick. And the point after 5.
Beautifully thrown right into the hands of Bell. Looks it all the way in, but he was open all the way. Had to be also some sort of a defensive error there. lots of different combinations we're seeing here in the second half.
2 penalties against the Cowboys help paving the way as the Raiders move down the field and go in to score and take an 8-point lead. It's 17-9 with 11:41 to go. Stan Smagala. .11:41 remaining. 17-9. The Raiders leading Dallas with Jeff Jager to kick off for LA. Stan Smagala and Curvin Richards are back to receive for the Cowboys. Good run back, and finally forced out of bounds by the man who kicks off Jager up near midfield.
Jager saved 6.
Well, Craig Janoff, our director, gives us a look at a kickoff return that I could watch every time. I mean, that is the best way to look at a kickoff return. High in the end zone, and look at the way the wall forms, the crease to the right side, and then the explosion up through it. That is an outstanding look.
And you saw a good block by Bates along the way.
It's a great look at a kickoff return forming, and a good run by Smagala.
45-yard return. Cowboys have it at the 44 as Stout retreats on first down. And then the ball started to slip out of his hand, intended for Johnston.
And will be.
Yeah. Second and 10 from the 44-yard line. Stout drops it off for Ricky Blake. And it's moved by Blake, who's tough to bring down. Enough for a first down.
WLAF, that played with San Antonio, was beat up pretty good there.
44-yard line. Here he is again.
Well, what's really at stake for a guy like Blake is who's going to be the next guy in line behind Emmitt Smith. I mean, there is a, Emmitt Smith be that guy.
Blake, or let's take a look at Curvin Richards, who we've seen already tonight. There he is. The rookie from Pittsburgh. Second down and 6. Stout airs it out, and it's right on the money, but the ball comes loose, and it is.
Oh, they're going to rule it down. They're going to rule it down.
The officials are calling the play dead, and what are they saying? That it's down at the 1-yard line? It was a non-demonstrative call by the official for starters, and then the two of them gathered and looked at each other, and Mark Wright will have to sort it out.
First down.
I don't think he had possession of the football.
This may not hold up on appeal.
There's Kelvin Martin. 2 feet have to come down, and I don't think he ever had possession of the football.
So The next sound you hear should be a whistle as they look at it, but
No,
they're not.
You have to get both feet down.
Blake on first and goal is stopped right there.
I mean,
not
you have to.
surprising that they did not take a look at that. It was fairly obvious. That
Well,
the
they
ball
must.
was-
They must be saying
determined that he was not.
that's the only way they could be saying it, is that he had both feet down and had possession of the football.
Either that or they couldn't make contact with the field or whatever, because I mean that's down by contact cannot be ruled upon, but that's what they're saying. But that doesn't sound quite.
The down by contact would come after the determination of whether or not he had possession.
Second down and goal, exactly right.
Exactly. I think that might have been a boo-boo.
That was a boo-boo, no question. I mean, if nothing else, they had to stop it, stop play to gather themselves and figure out what it is they were going to look for.
Full start, number 86, offense. Prior to the snap, 5-yard penalty, second down.
The play clock is down to 2-1, and now, did he get the timeout called? He did. They had just broken the huddle. The play clock is down to 1.
Look at it in super slow-mo. He had both feet down when he's holding the ball right at his mid-chest. But when you look at that thing, I don't think he clearly demonstrated that he had possession of the football. That's a real iffy call. That's that gray area in the replay system.
Second and goal from the 7 as play resumes after the timeout, and Stout is chased and then throws the ball away. Backside pressure that time from A.J. Jimerson.
And what a halftime this guy is having. What a second half, rather. Maybe he had a great halftime, too. But something happened at halftime. A.J. Jimerson has been all over the field. Here he is playing a down position. Crashes inside the block of Rob Awald and then flushes Stout. Doesn't lose his feet and stays with him. A very active second half for this second-year linebacker from Norfolk State.
Third down, goal at the 7. 8:10 to go. Raiders up by 8. Stout throws it out into the flat to Blake.
Whoa! Jerry Robinson. Get the license plate.
The field littered with Raiders. And Robinson the last to get up.
I understand why Ricky Blake has a few nicks on his body. I mean, he goes looking for a body to run into.
Oh, Jerry Robertson
Jerry's
is
out
lost.
of his feet.
No, he's lost. I mean, here's a guy that needs to get out of the game, and he is. What a collision between Ricky Blake and Jerry Robinson.
So it's 4th and goal, and Willis comes in to attempt another field goal. He's 3 for 3 tonight. The ball will be spotted at the 12. So this is an easy 22-yard chip shot. Novacek puts it down after a little bit of a juggle, and the kick is good. So that's 4 field goals for Willis, and Robinson is still trying to figure out what time zone this is.
Let's take a look at Blake again. He weighs 235 pounds, and he just hammered into Jerry Robinson looking for the end zone, and a violent collision. You heard it, and Jerry Robinson is being looked at on the sidelines.
Hey, we'll Like I said, we'll do the Allen thing. 7:22 remaining.
Jerry's another one of those Raiders that's been around for a while. He's in his 13th year and probably will play in more of a situational type of action this year, other than a starter.
Raiders up by 5 as Willis is kicked. He's taken in the end zone. He's been doing a nice job kicking off tonight. And Sam Grady brings it out to the 23. One bit of news we should catch you up on involves Marcus Allen of the Raiders. This was rumored to be happening, and it has. Marcus Allen and San Diego Charger cornerback Gil Byrd have sued their teams in federal court. They claim that antitrust violations have prevented them from winning more lucrative contracts. I say it's been rumored because there is a case that is due to come to trial in Minneapolis, you may be aware of, spearheaded by Freeman McNeil of the Jets and Don Mikowski of the Packers, among others. And that is scheduled, as I say, for February in Minneapolis. That is Bell stopped by Jeffcoat. The situation, as I understood it, was that the Raiders, Allen and Byrd and maybe other California-based players, as Jeffcoat comes off, would attempt to file suit, and that would supersede the other case. But apparently it will not. And the league issued a statement tonight basically saying this adds nothing to already pending litigation. And the league calls it a publicity stunt filed on the same day Allen and the Raiders play in a Monday night game. At the 23-yard line, it is 2nd down and 10. As Marinovich has it knocked away, but a flag is thrown and a penalty is coming up on Dan. Intended for Alexander.
I don't think there's any doubt of this call, even though the crowd
Pass interference.
hissed and booed.
Number 29, defense. Automatic first down.
He swings through
Kenneth Gann's got
with
himself
his
a couple
left
of
hand,
calls
yeah.
tonight.
Well, he's playing an aggressive game.
Anyway, just to button up on the Allen situation as we look at the replay again, basically it all involves the fact that there is no free agency per se in the National Football League. In fact, Allen and Byrd in their suit are asking for triple the amount they would have received in a not so restricted market, as Bell picks up 4.
Wasn't it Allen who had a bit of a contract problem with the Raiders a year ago, signed for a 1-year contract, and just recently, without any fanfare, has signed for another 1-year contract
Well,
at
I think
the same level.
I think the triple, his contract, that comes from, I believe all antitrust violations have treble damages. If I can, if my antitrust law background serves me well.
Well, the interesting thing about this case, too, is they have sued their respective teams, but they blame the National Football League because the rules, of course, involve all 28 teams.
It's a curious action, suing your employer. If I filed suit against ABC, I wonder what the odds would be of me being here in the booth next week.
About 8 minutes. Let's watch Russell Maryland again, number 67. The number 1 take in the draft, and spinning at the line of scrimmage. And you know, Jimmy Johnson, when you talked to him about Maryland, the young man he recruited and of course had at Miami for a year, he says we don't expect great plays out of him. We expect steady plays. By the end of the game, you'll look at the stats and he'll have made 4 or 5 tackles. He'll have caused a fumble. He would have recovered 1, a couple of pressures, and that's what we expect from Russell Maryland.
3rd and 4. And the catch is made up at the 47 by Andrew Glover, and that's enough for a first down. The funny thing, as you mentioned, Frank, about the Maryland thing is that when you pick a guy number 1 in the draft, especially if it's a quarterback or a running back, he's supposed to be a spectacular player, an impact player, a ticket-selling kind of guy. But Johnson is saying, exactly as you say, we want this guy to make the plays, to do things like keep linebackers from being slip blocked and the rest. And that's the type of thing the fans almost never notice.
And really, and to rotate him in the middle with Casillas, and you wonder about that when you take the first player in the entire draft and you plan on just kind of not great expectations, and you're also going to use him in a lot of rotations.
Here's Bell to the 49-yard line of the Cowboys. Brownlow makes the stop. 4:07 remaining. will be in Denver next Monday night. Mile High Stadium is the site. Dan Marino leads the Dolphins into town against the Broncos. 8 o'clock. And that's our final preseason game, and then our regular season begins on Labor Day night in New Jersey, where the New York Giants take on the San Francisco 49ers. Second and 7. Greg Bell. Hello. Met at the 50-yard line by Dixon Edwards, Michigan State rookie.
Dixon Edwards, a kid that has had a disappointing training camp. Didn't make a lot happen the first couple of weeks. Then the last week has really come on strong, and Jimmy Johnson very anxious to see him perform here tonight. He's been around the ball a lot. Second-round draft choice. You expect to see some things happen, and like a lot of the Cowboy linebackers, see, he's not a big guy. 6'1" and 220. Johnson doesn't go for the New York Giant type of big linebacker. He wants a more speedy, active guy.
3rd and 7. Marinovich shows enough mobility and then has the pass knocked down as the intended receiver was Greg Harrell. First time they've thrown his way tonight.
I can tell you that in college you might get away with that every now and then, but in the NFL it's going to be very difficult to roll one way, stop, and then on your heels falling backwards, throw it all the way back across the field.
Exactly, and he almost lost this one.
There is number 1 meeting number 1.
And there is big 67, Russell Maryland, bearing Marinovich.
Fair catch is called for at the 8-yard line, which is not where you want to call for a fair catch. Yeah, you're inside the 10. Forget about calling for a Traverse, BC. Stout has his pass dropped as Tommy Agee started to look around. Marcus Wilson covering on the play. 2:31 to go.
I guess it's time to summarize maybe a little bit what we've seen out of both of these clubs. Guys, we haven't seen the Dallas Cowboys in a long time. My assessment is obviously much better than they have been. I still think they're a little maturity away from really being a serious playoff contender.
2nd and 10. And that's almost picked off as the pressure was put on.
Almost look at what Jimmy Johnson did in Miami. Jimmy Johnson had a lot of great players, a lot of big name players offensively, but he was concentrated on defense, and that's what they did here a year ago. They got good defense. They were only 10th overall. They were 18th against the rush, 2nd against the pass. And then on offense, he got himself a good quarterback. He always had a good quarterback in Miami, and he's got a lot of speed. He believes in that. He believes it in linebackers. He believes it in receivers. So I don't think it's going to be a whole lot different, at least the direction he's going to take with the Cowboys than the direction he took with Miami.
3rd down and 10 from the 9-yard line as Stout dumps it over the middle, and look what I almost found, says Tom Benson. Weird looking play.
I don't think AWOL knew it was there.
No, I think that's safe to say. It hit him right in the back of the helmet.
And he still almost intercepts it.
Pretty good delivery by Stout under a lot of pressure. He had 2 Raiders hanging on him and hits his own man in the back of the head. If AWOL would have turned around, he would have caught that thing. Watch this. There's one. Here comes the other. Cliff gets rid of that football and delivers a strike.
So now Saxon to kick. And remember, the Cowboys have already used 2 timeouts. They have only 1 left. There's a flag down as Saxon steps up to get it away. And it's fair caught at the 44 by Tim Brown, a 36-yard punt.
I think the Raiders were offsides. I think they got a head start.
That's a good move by Saxon.
Even if they are, it's not enough for a first down. Because it was 4th and 10.
I thought Elvis Patterson was across the ball.
We have 2 fouls on the play. Offside, number 43, defense.
Patterson.
Illegal man downfield on the kick, number 89, kicking team. Penalties offset. 4th down again.
AWOL. That does nothing but help the Raiders because it just takes a few more seconds off the clock. And the Cowboys still have to kick. And the Cowboys will only be able to stop the clock once, plus once at the 2-minute warning.
The only people it doesn't help are these 22 guys that have to do it again.
Kicker Mike Saxon has had a lot of pressure tonight. Just with the penalty, he'll be able to at least take the proper distance from the center, dropping back.
Saxon kicking out of his end zone. It's a beauty. And a fair catch made at the 44 by Brown. So after Martin had made that fair catch and the Cowboys were in a hole at the 9, they could not extricate themselves from that position or force the kick, and the Raiders take over and will try to run the clock out.
Well, we talked Raiders for a moment. Raiders, of course, beaten twice by Kansas City a year ago. Nevertheless, they won the division. They were 12-4, and we said earlier, in all probability, Bo Jackson will not be back. It's a team that's aging, but also a team with superstars that are still performing. You've got defensive linemen who are going to need a little rest this year. And you've got a quarterback who had coming off a good year, Jay Schrader.
Here's Bell. That's the kind of run you want to see when you're trying to run the clock out. A nice 7-yard move over the left side. That takes us to the 2-minute warning. A look at Jay Schrader. And the Raiders trying to hold on to a 5-point cushion. Julius DeRosa. This one winding down at Texas Stadium at Irving, Texas. Raiders on top. Well, we talked about the Raiders, the oldest team in the league. There they were last year. They're starters. These are starters now. Averaged 29.3. Rams were next, and then Minnesota, Green Bay, and San Francisco were the other graybeards, so to speak. And the Raiders will not get any younger this year because they went out and they signed Roger Craig and Ronnie Lott.
Allen is a 10-year running back. Craig a 9-year running back.
I don't see a problem with those ages if those ages translate into quality.
Yep.
And when you talk about adding Roger Craig and talk about adding Ronnie Lott to your roster, you've added quality. They may be over 30, but you've added a rare quality to your football team. Not only talent on the field, but grade A citizens and inspirational leaders to the other guys down there.
Can't tell you how many thrills this guy has given us over the years. Ronnie Lott is now in his 11th season, leading all-time interceptor in the NFL today.
In a way, the move to get Lott and Craig, it's typically Raider, and yet in another sense, it is very atypically Raider, as Marinovich on second down gives the ball to Bell, and the Cowboys take their final timeout. It's typical and atypical, and I'll have to get to it in a second because Kenny Wolf is counting me to a commercial.
He always is doing it.
Atypical.
Raider type of move. They go out and they get the veteran, the guy who can help him at the end of his career. And yet a lot of those type of people that they have gotten in the past have been guys who have had a lot of off-the-field problems or have had problems with their organizations. And the Raiders have been almost a halfway house.
Yeah, you're right.
But with Lott and Craig, you're dealing with two guys who are very much and have been through their careers well above board. Model A citizens, as you say.
In a sense, Al, also atypical of the 49ers to not have a couple football players that you kind of get the impression, even though they were plan B and unprotected, two guys that I think Eddie DeBartolo and George Seifert would have wanted to have on their squad, and it's not often the 49ers don't have what they'd like to have. So it's a lot of unusual things in Craig and Lott ending up wearing the silver and black.
And the two teams will face each other in a regular season game in, I believe, the fourth weekend of the season. Fourth or fifth.
That'll be fun.
Cowboys can't stop the clock. Gosh at the kick. Clock is running down, and they let it run all the way down to 1:05, and the play clock expires.
Let's see, the Raiders, what, twice this year? We've got them a little later against Kansas City, the team that they're probably going to have to contend with for the division. Although Bobby Beathard's starting to kick in down in San Diego, and we'll also watch them against.
In 6 years. The reason is simple. The problem is the stadium is so big. If you don't sell it out, you can't televise the game in Los Angeles. And to be perfectly blunt, the ABC television network is not interested in losing the #2 television market on any Monday night. So it's tough to bring a game in there if you know you can't sell 90,000 seats. Into the end zone, that'll be a touchback. And so that's the reason the Raiders have not had a home game on Monday Night Football since either 84 or 85.
We still have a remarkable record, far and away the best on Monday Night Football.
Measly yardage for both of these clubs tonight, 215 and 235.
Stout on first down, and he's got a man near midfield at the 45-yard line. It's Kelvin Martin. But the Cowboys without a timeout now, and the clock ticking down, and a field goal doesn't do them any good. Down by 5, 38 seconds to go. Stout over the middle, and again it's Martin to the 40-yard line. Well, the Raiders, they'll give you the middle to protect the sidelines. The problem here, though, is the clock keeps on moving.
22 seconds.
Stout will down it. 18 seconds.
Good move by Stout. He had receivers that were winded from 2 previous plays, consecutive plays without a huddle. His linemen also were puffing pretty heavy, so he kills the ball.
We can tell you the executive producer of ABC Sports is Jack O'Hara. Tonight's game produced by the Wolfman, Kenny Wolf, and directed by Craig Janoff. Joe Chavo, our technical director. Patrick McManus, our AD. Fred King and Kurt Pfluger. Assistants to the producer, Phil Lannis, Tony Versley, Lee Kolinsky, Tech Operations Manager. Steve Hurd, our Director of Information. George Hill, with the stats. Malibu, Kelly Hayes, our spotter. Stout has it knocked down by Derek Crudup, intended for Alvin Harper. Second down and 10.
Stout still has the #1 lineup of receivers in there, including Alexander Wright. He is the 4.140 sprinter with all the speed that they rave about here. Jimmy Johnson just flat said he's the fastest thing I've ever seen.
There he is. It is 3rd down and 10 because on the first down play, Stout downed it. Now the incompletion, 3rd and 10, 13 seconds, and 40 yards to go. 4-man rush. Going deep for that man. And it is knocked down as Dan Land comes over to knock it away. That man, Alexander Wright, to whom we just referred. There is the Raiders executive assistant, Al Locasal. Al has been with the Raiders for a number of years. He's been Al Davis's right-hand man. Has maintained a home in Oakland with his family through the years and has lived in a hotel for 9 years. And just this week, he is moving into a house in El Segundo. In fact, it's Todd Christensen's old house.
I think the Raiders are going to stay. Al's moving into a house.
They did anything to save a broker's commission, I suppose.
What do you do? Write a gossip column in LA or something? Do you know how he decorated it?
Yes, early rushing. And what figures to be the last play of the game almost turns into a Cowboy touchdown, but Derek Crudup with the interception as time runs out.
I mean, what's the motif there? I mean, is it furnished to your liking and everything?
4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. Be simple. Pleasant ride home for the Raiders. Well, you saw Art Shell, if you were with us at the beginning of the game. He gave them a spirited pregame send-away.
One way to characterize it.
Yep. Well, win it, guys, and they did. Raiders win the game by a score of 17-12. We will be with you from Denver. Miami against the Broncos next Monday night. Till then, Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf saying so long from Texas Stadium in Irving with